questions and the type of questions that Ecoholics gave in their test series were very similar to how the paper came, even in the changed pattern.
Hello, Yamini. Welcome to the Ecoholics Toppers Talk. Congratulations on your success for RBI Grade B DEPR examination. I'm so delighted that you have come out as victorious. So, how's everyone at home? How's everyone feeling? How are you feeling?
Good evening, ma'am. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. The feeling of getting successful in this examination is yet to sink in, but I just feel like it will come along gradually and I'll just realize whatever I have put in, the efforts, they've paid off.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure that all your family members must be excited and quite relieved that you have received this success. And it has been quite a journey for you as well. So we'll talk about it. And first thing that I would like to ask you is, how did the preparation journey, now that you retrospect and reflect back, after, of course, now that you realize कि ठीक है, success मिल गया है, but what all have you gone through for that, and how many hardships and what all hard work have you put in? So I would like you to start from the beginning, from your graduation actually. How did you start understanding that these are the different economics related examinations that you should start preparing for?
So, ma'am, while I was in my graduation at Hansraj College, University of Delhi, I was engrossed in, apart from academics, I was engrossed in various societies as we see in DU, which is common. So for the first 2 years, I didn't really give a thought about, I have to attempt so-and-so examination, etc. I was of the opinion that, okay, I'll complete my graduation and I'll see where I want to go. And by the time I entered my third year, I made a decision to pursue masters in economics to know about the subject more, and primarily because I felt that I hadn't done enough justice to the subject in the first 2 years. So I started preparing for master's entrance examinations, and it was a COVID year after I graduated. So we had delayed entrances, which gave me further time to know about the subject. I attempted various examinations. Then I got into Delhi School of Economics, IGIDR, etc. And I made a decision to pursue it at IGIDR. And while I was there, I closely got to know about how our professors did research work for RBI. They were, in a way, appointed by RBI to carry on the research work. I got to know about monetary policy and dynamics in detail. And it was then that I decided to go for attempting this examination. So after my master's, which got completed in June 2022, I started to prepare for this examination. It was a risk not sitting for placements. And despite getting an internship at American Express, I decided not to sit for placements and take a drop year for these examinations. So I started preparing around August, September 2022. And roughly like 1 year down the line, I had this examination in July 2023.
Right. As it said that if you want to reach to the top, you have to pay the price. And to take that risky move of not going for your placements and still making sure that, okay, you need to focus on, one last time, or let's do it once again. That kind of thought, I think, rewarded you with success. So, Yamini, policy making research in itself is a big game, and it's an emerging area. And RBI has a very specific department for it. And however, even today, very few students do the hardcore research and understand the research ethic, research design, research tools. So, how did you come across these different quantitative approaches to economics, and how did you prepare for that specifically?
So, ma'am, as far as the practicality of it is concerned, in the examination itself, we are not supposed to delve into quantitative and research tools, but the general interest that erupts is basically from how we study macroeconomics and various dynamic models in our masters. So, we had a lot of practical coursework in our masters in macroeconomics, literally around monetary policy. For example, we studied about Kyle and Prescott model, dynamic, stochastic, quantitative economic models, etc. So from that one, that I knew, okay, I've studied some theory. Now I want to put it into research and like evidence-based decision making. So from there on, my interest erupted in around the preparation. We are only supposed to know about the theoretical aspects of it, because RBI wants candidates who are keen to learn the practicality, given that they know the content and theory behind it. So I think that's what really helped me in the prep.
So, did you also like write research articles or some citations? Did you make all of those things?
No, ma'am. So I didn't do that. But in the master's itself, we were given certain assignments and subjects to work in some softwares like Dynair, and then we had SQL software in American Express internship. So I had a bit of experience here and there. But even if somebody doesn't have, I think they are good to go if they just know about it and are not completely in the hindsight. So
Right. Awareness about it is important.
yeah.
While you were preparing for the examination, because the pattern also changed, just I think a couple 1 year back, and which is why the pattern, the new pattern, and the new syllabus and the new dynamics was very much anticipated by many students, and there were a lot of conjectures regarding what will be now phase one, and how quantitative will it be, how theoretical, or what kind of checking and evaluation will be done for phase two. So how did you mentally prepare yourself for this change that had happened?
So, ma'am, we got to know about this change when the RBI released its notification, which was roughly around 9th May last year. And the phase one was scheduled on 16 July. So, roughly 2.5 months, which is a very short period of time to change your approach. So, my approach broadly was to get a detailed understanding of each major segment under economics. For example, see, the content and the type of questions can change, but the major segments always remain the same. So the difficulty level could vary. We have seen in some of the past year questions which were available that RBI asked very practical and very the high level difficulty questions. For example, they won't ask about simple international economic models, Ricardo, Heckscher-Ohlin, etc. Instead, they would go into very specific theories like Jagdish Bhagwati approach to trade, etc., etc. So that could change, but the overall view was that if you've covered a subject in its entirety, you have seen the overview and the timeline and evolution of that subject, I think you can cater to that difficulty questions, primarily because phase one is an objective paper. So even if the pattern changes, you still know that, okay, if I've covered this subject, I can easily mark one out of those 4 options. So that was my approach. And as far as phase two was concerned, this time RBI gave a very well-defined syllabus, unlike the previous year where we were where some things were hanging in the balance and we were yet to figure out how to go about those things. And the phase two syllabus that it gave was very much similar to how the government specifies the syllabus for exams like Indian Economic Services. So I followed the age-old books that are prescribed by various people who have cleared these exams. And I also mixed it with my undergrad readings.
Yes.
which played a key role. And wherever I was stuck, I used to go towards internet and search about the topic and prepare it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yamini, I would like to know what's your success mantra. I mean, there is, of course, there's no specific rule to succeed, but what should definitely be done without failing for a student who's aspiring to become successful in the field of economics? What would be your answer to that?
Ma'am, I would like to say a very generic answer, or say a generic approach would be that do not delve into topic wise learning. Do not, because it doesn't help. One day you are covering X number of topics, and another day you come across some Y additional topic that you have not covered. You will never be able to learn about a subject by micromanaging it. So start by taking one major perspective of what the subject wants to teach you, then see various components under it. So for example, I'll take the example of macroeconomics. A lot of us start with the basic classical, Keynesian, neoclassical, etc. But if we study it in terms of why those school of thoughts erupted in the first place, then we'll be able to figure out the differences very well. And whenever some question regarding any school of thought comes, you don't have to sort of memorize it and rote learn it, because you will always know that, okay, this thing happened in classicals, which didn't work out. So we moved on to Keynesian theory, just like that. And I would say, so the success mantra is to be able to have a desire to know the subject rather than knowing it for the purpose of clearing it as an examination. Number one. And second, very preparation specific, I would say that the thing which wasn't working for me and then it finally worked was that consistent revision of a topic. No matter how much you study, unless you're able to revise it at specific regular intervals, it does not help, because in the examination you will realize, oh, I've read this somewhere, but I don't recall it. So reading or not reading it is equal unless you don't recall it in the examination. So that really worked for me, and consistent attempts of objective and subjective test papers, that worked. Another thing that worked is reading newspapers. So I was a candidate who initially, in the initial phases of my journey, thought that even if I read some current affairs magazine weekly, monthly, it would work. It works, but it just complements your newspaper reading. Nothing really substitutes it, because when you read a newspaper over a period of time, consistently without fail, you realize that, okay, something is there which the government and RBI are working towards, and these are the areas. So every newspaper reading that you do is subsequently an addition to, like, an update to whatever the main structure is, and that structure you have to form by yourself by reading the newspapers. No current affair magazine and stuff can complement. They can, of course, give you a 360-degree view, but the newspaper reading will tell you what to focus on. So I think, yeah, these 3-4 things worked for me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Very beautifully and very nicely put. I'm sure that when students will listen to this, they will definitely note down these things and start following them. I would like to ask you the next thing about the personality test or the interview. Now, the final phase of the examination ends with the interview, and usually for phase 1 and phase 2, it becomes so exhausting that many times candidates are not very well prepared for what they should anticipate or what they should expect that the interview would be like. And then the preparation just goes haywire. So what was your strategy so that you could attend the interview properly?
So, ma'am, my strategy was one that I consulted various people who have cleared RBI. In this age of social media networking, I think you can get your hands on the people who are already in the field, get in contact with them, see what was their strategy, how their interview went. Also, RBI DEPR officers sit together and put together their transcripts for the interview also, so that also really helped. But one thing I would like to mention is that no 2 consecutive years the interviews are same. Panel might differ, chairman might differ, so you don't really learn the type of questions they ask, but you have to get an idea of where they are heading towards. So for example, one, read the RBI reports very, very carefully. So RBI releases annual reports of trends and progress of banking sector in India and annual reports. So these 2 annual reports and biannual reports like financial stability report, monetary policy report. These 4 reports are and also state budgets report, which RBI releases, state finances report. These 4-5 reports you should know, because RBI wants a candidate who is very keen on what the organization is doing, a candidate who really has put in an effort to go through the RBI website, to go through the RBI working and functions. So for that, and also people who are senior to me right now, they told me that you can very intelligently move the interview as per your convenience if you direct them towards the areas which you have already learned through newspapers, through reports. So I would say that one, I went through RBI website, very detailed, like which are the metrics that RBI publishes, how frequently these are published. For example, money supply and reserve money matrix, etc., liquidity matrix. How does RBI manage the liquidity? What is monetary policy? Everything about monetary policy in detail. How RBI coordinates with government. What are the evolving areas where RBI is working? So, for example, financial markets is one, financial inclusion is another, mixed with digitalization and fintechs, which is a very evolving area in the economy right now. Other than that, RBI reports, I would say, do not do it for the sake of doing it. Do not go to internet and search the highlights of so-and-so report. Sit with the report, see what it is about. For example, overview, then RBI specifies the risk in the economy. Then it also specifies what it does. So you don't have to search the internet. RBI itself gives it and publishes everything that it's doing. And a number of times you will see that there are some common topics which are there in every report. So also see the statistics that RBI publishes. If there are graphs in a report, what are the sources? So you might be asked, and some people were asked that what is the high frequency indicators that are looked by RBI to gauge the aggregate demand and supply conditions in the economy. So all of these things you will only get by reading the reports yourself. And other than that, interview preparation requires you to go beyond the standard newspaper towards a business newspaper. So I majorly followed Mint along with Indian Express, economy and opinion pages. So that framed my overall view. Other than that, any recent developments on by RBI regarding anything that are published as recent notifications on their website. So that also is supposed to be done. How many departments are there in RBI? Which department are you under? And under whom is that department going to be? So everything, they want a candidate who knows and who is keen to be in that organization. You have to pitch for yourself, just like we do in corporate interviews. So yeah, that was my preparation strategy.
Beautiful. Yamini, I think you made a very important point over here that usually, like I said, that while the preparation goes on, everyone is so micromanaging the syllabus that they have to memorize and they have to write and the practice has to be done and all of those things, that they forget that ultimately when you will sit in the interview, it's not just your memorization which will help, but the overall personality and the knowledge about the organization that you're giving an interview for is the primary thing which many candidates fail to understand. I'm so delighted that you very minutely not just did it for yourself, but also gave a full manual for the students who would prepare for such examinations. So thank you so much for that. And I'm so delighted to have had this conversation with you. Lastly, I would just like to ask you, if Team Ecoholics could help you in any which ways in your preparation? Any words, any suggestions that you would like to give us?
Thank you, ma'am. I think as far as Ecoholics is concerned, entire team and entire organization has been a great support to me. I opted for the test series and mock interview sessions from Ecoholics, and in both phase 1, phase 2, and interviews, I have, and you must be knowing that I have randomly talked to the team and said that, okay, I want a session arranged, I want a doubt resolution session. I even wanted a stress buster session, that, okay, I need some support and I need some assurance that whatever I'm doing is right. And as far as the test series is concerned, the test in phase 1 and phase 2 were very apt for me. And they guided me towards which are the areas I need to focus, or if I was missing at some segment which I had not prepared and which hadn't come to my mind at that time, then I did that also post my test. And they sort of made a meet like parameter for me to have a trend line. So by every test that I gave, I took my own score and saw where I lagged. And by the end of the phase, like by the day the phase 1 examination came, I knew that, okay, my line was sloping upwards. So I knew that whether or not I qualified the exam, at least in every subsequent test, I knew more than I did in the previous test. So, and similar was phase 2. Phase 2 questions and the type of questions that Ecoholics gave in their test series were very similar to how the paper came, even in the changed pattern. So I think that really helped me. If you are scoring consistently good above XYZ parameter in the Ecoholics test, I think that was my psychological mark that I also needed to cross in the main examination itself, in the real examination. So that really helped. In fact, the interview feedback that you gave was very helpful in me trying to cover the areas which weren't covered by me in the rest of the time. So I think, yeah, it was great help, and I don't think there was something more that could have been done.
Thank you so much, Yamini. It's a delight, and we are just basking in the glory of your success. Ultimately, it's you, your strategy and planning, and a lot of courage, which made you succeed in life. I and the whole team Ecoholics wishes you all the very best for your this new journey that you're going to take. And
Thank you so much, ma'am.
all the very best, all the very best. May all the great opportunities come your way in policy making, and you prosper as an economist. So
thank you. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Great. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Yeah. Bye-bye.